Uh-oh, there's another muskrat running that way. Oh, there's 2, 3. One for me. Woohoo! He's gonna bite me. Holy crap, they're everywhere. My name is Joseph Carter, and I am the Mink Man. When I was a senior in high school, I started learning about the American mink. I was told that mink were horrible, vicious little animals who were impossible to tame. Challenge accepted. I've been in love with mink ever since. I get mink from fur farms and give them a new life. In this new life, my mink live as naturally as possible, even hunting for their dinner the way a wild mink would. So come join me on my adventures as we learn more about this intense little predator, the amazing American mink. So today is the glorious day of Canal draining day. So for me, this is a special day. They just barely drained the canals. So I just wanted to show you guys what this canal is like before they drain it. This is what the canal is like 6 months out of the year. I actually can't go any deeper or else I'm gonna get flooded in my waders. This water is used for irrigation. Out here in the desert, this water waters everyone's crops during the spring and summer, but then through the mid to late fall and early, all the winter and early spring, while they're not growing crops, they have it drained. And that's when we have the opportunity to really hunt the muskrats. During this time, while the water's deep, it's almost impossible to catch anything. They have all the advantage and everything's a disadvantage for us. Now, obviously much more shallow. And this opens up an opportunity to hunt muskrats that were previously close to impossible to catch. Now we've got lots of opportunities, we just need to find the muskrats. And this water depth is just right. If it was any deeper, they'd be able to sneak away, they'd be difficult to see. If it was any more shallow, the muskrats might not be here when we come to find them. So this is exactly what happens when they drain the canals. These poor muskrats, they're competing for all the little habitat left on the canal. And so hundreds and hundreds of muskrats like this young one have to leave and find a new home. And most of them end up dying like this one and being wasted on the road. And I always hate to see them just go to waste like this, being killed by dogs, run over by cars, starving to death. The horrible things that end up happening when there's too many muskrats in the same area and not enough habitat. They kill each other. There's all kinds of wasteful ways that they die. So we want to catch as many as we can before that happens. That way we can utilize their meat to feed our mink, feed my family, and as well as sell the pelts. I hate waste, and so this gives me an opportunity to save a lot of these muskrats from going to waste and just rotting on the highways or starving to death in someone's backyard after the water drains. So we're going to do our best to catch as many as we can, and come join us and have fun. Okay, so here's something to look for while we're out looking for muskrats. Muskrats eat all kinds of vegetation, grass, clover, all kinds of stuff. Water lilies, if it grows in or near the water, they love it for the most part. So, but having said that, this right here is their favorite food. This is a cattail. Cattails are one of the most nutritious foods and important foods for muskrats. Do they have to have it? No, they'll live off of a lot of other stuff, but they love cattails. So if you look along here, I don't see any signs of muskrats digging up these cattail roots. Does that mean they're not here? Not necessarily. There's lots of other stuff to eat right now because it's, just early fall, so there's lots of grass and stuff. But I'm not seeing any sign that's super fresh. So we found a muskrat den. You see that den entrance would have been underwater had the water been up to its normal level. And you can tell it's open, so it's recently had muskrat activity. However, not quite recent enough. If you notice, there's a bunch of mud half covering the entrance. So it's fresh enough that they've been in there within the last few days or weeks, but not hours. There's fresh silt on the inside, and you could see tracks from worms crawling back and forth, but no muskrat signs. Muskrats are big, obvious animals when it comes to the sign they leave in soft silt like that. I feel very confident saying there's no muskrat in this den. So we're going to keep going. So there was a muskrat here at one point. Who knows how old this skull is. It's in pristine condition. But look at those big old teeth. It happens to be right in front of a muskrat den. That's a cool little muskrat den, cool little skull. Now here we see the den of a giant muskrat. Take a look at how big that is. A giant species of muskrat native to North America, also known as a beaver. Obviously that's way too big for a muskrat. That's a big old beaver den. Beaver dens are very similar to muskrat dens, only 10 times bigger. So we're not going to be putting a mink in that one. Though it very well could have muskrats in it. Muskrats do often hide in beaver dens. And in fact, my original hunting mink named Missy, she used to go up in beaver dens and chase the beavers out all the time. It always made me nervous. Those things are huge. And so yeah, we're not putting a mink in there today. Let's keep walking. We didn't have any luck on our first day out hunting, so I decided to combine the footage from our first hunt and our second hunt. That way you guys could actually see us catch something. So if you notice, there's the size reference, my little thumb. That's the size and the shape of a muskrat track. So you notice here as well, see how their toes are kind of pointed and sharp? These are raccoon tracks, and you can see them for size comparison. They're a lot bigger and they're a lot rounder. And here we have small rodent, or I should say medium-sized rodent, probably a brown rat. I don't know for sure, but it looks about right to be brown rat. You can see for size comparison and see how they have a totally different shape. They don't have those long pointy fingers, and they're quite a bit smaller than a muskrat track. So we found a good hole with some sign at it. We've been walking along here. There's quite a few holes, some of which may be dens, most of which are probably just little digging spots. But this one looks like a den, and it's got, more importantly, some fresh looking sign going up and down it. Now, this very well might be just an empty den, and they live somewhere else, and they've been using this as kind of a hiding spot while they're out feeding. We'll just have to wait and see, but it's at least got enough sign that it's worth trying. I gotta say again, man, I can't wait to have a good trained dog that'll tell us whether or not there's something in this hole. We don't have to guess. So I'm very excited to show you guys this next footage. So for many years now, I've hunted with only one mink at a time. And the reason is because mink are very antisocial, very aggressive creatures in nature. In nature, they're actually the #1 cause of mortality of a healthy mink is another mink killing it. It isn't predation from a coyote or a bobcat or an eagle or an owl. It's actually all of those predators combined, all of the natural predators of a mink combined don't kill as many mink as mink do killing themselves. So very aggressive creatures. I've never really attempted this until now. So now I've got them socially bonded to each other. They can live together. So I'm taking it to the next step, and we're gonna hunt with them together.
Yeah. Oh, there's a muskrat right there.
Awesome. Mink just went in another hole. Where'd he go?
He's...
Oh, here he is. Oh.
There's 2 of them.
Is it 2 of them?
Yeah. The mink's right behind you.
Going up the hole where the mink's at.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, there's another muskrat running that way.
Oh, I see him.
Oh, there's 2, 3. Oh, here's the one right here. Watch those other ones.
Okay.
Here he is, he's right here. Oh, he got it. Oh, I'm sorry, was I in the way? Did you get that? He jumped at the mink. Was I in the way?
You might have been.
He jumped at the mink and he grabbed it. Good job. Where's the other mink?
The other one is still swimming all the way down there.
Oh, I see it. Where'd the other mink go?
He went back in the hole. Like,
Good job. That was so cool. He jumped.
He went in that hole right there.
I wish I wasn't in the way. Yeah, I see the muskrat swimming. Keep an eye on the mink. They're gonna go turn this one around.
Okay. Yeah.
Here he is. Let's see if I can get him towards the mink.
That's a big old boy.
There he is. Get it. Good boy. He's a sister to back him out. Oh, good, he's got it now. Stay out of the way of this one. Boy. He's got it now.
Your shadow's in the way of it. Okay, there you go. See if you can pull him out, yeah.
I don't want you tagging him out the hole. Come on. Here, Fox, you can take him.
Oh,
What was that? Another muskrat? Fox.
oh, muskrat.
Another muskrat. Holy crap, they're everywhere. Okay, let's get the brother-sister team going. Holy crap, they're everywhere. So we got another sis. This is Mamba's brother and sister, Brock's son and daughter. We're gonna put them down for their first time. Guess there's enough muskrats for everyone today. Live up to your daddy's name. Here you go, sister. Bear and piranha, their first hunt. Muskrat. One for me. Woohoo! He's gonna bite me. One for me. Woo!
Good boy.
Good boy. Good boy. I'm gonna get bit if I keep praising myself. Girl piranha. Good girl. Good girl piranha. You're not going up in holes. Go. So I've learned some interesting things with this experiment of hunting mink together. Unfortunately, in this little clip that we videoed, you didn't get to see the mink working together on the same muskrat. They both kind of went their separate ways and they each caught their own muskrat. But I have, in the training process with their little practice hunts, seen multiple instances where the mink have actually taken on the prey together, kind of like a pack of wolves, one taking the back end, one taking the front end. And it's really interesting to watch them. I don't know if you can really call it cooperation or if it's just two predators individually going after the same prey. I don't know at this point. I have seen some potential signs of cooperation where it really looks like one mink's taking one end, the other's taking the other end to cooperatively take it down. But you know, that just might be my own perception of things, and that's not really what's happening. More experience and more observations are required before I can make a very accurate assessment at this point. So interesting things I've learned is that by hunting mink together, it greatly increases the confidence of the individual. Now, I've seen mink, I actually have a pair, a couple females, who one is very confident and aggressive, the other's very, very timid and nervous. And I've seen now a couple times where that nervous mink would never even dream of taking on a muskrat, for example. But her sister has no problem with it, dives in and grabs it. The nervous sister originally would sit back and literally scream and be scared of the prey that her sister's killing. But eventually, she kept seeing her sister do it and started to grow in confidence and would actually join in on the kill. And now she's trying to beat her sister to the kill. When they see a prey together, she's trying to get there before her sister does because it's kind of a competition between the two. So it's very obvious that hunting two mink together, or working two mink together, gives even a mink who lacks confidence additional boost of confidence. Now, I don't think it's like with dogs or wolves where it's like a pack mentality. Hey, I've got a buddy backing me up so I can take this on. From what I can tell, it's more of a competition mentality. Hey, I better get there before the other mink does, I'm gonna miss out. And so that little competition between the two mink is very healthy, and it's very natural. If you think about it, mink are raised in litters, 2, 3, 5, 7 babies together by their mother. And so they would have naturally competed in nature. When their mother takes them out hunting for the first time, they're not hunting by themselves, they're hunting with their siblings, and that obviously creates a little bit of a competition. Who can get to the animal first, and who can eat it first, and things like that. So that natural competition in nature would drive the mink further than what they would do alone. And the other thing is one thing we don't know, I mean, we know they're obviously raised together when they're young, but about August, September, they leave their mother. It's pretty set time, and it's based off of the mother's aggressions. It's been theoretically believed that the mother drives the babies away. That's what naturalists have believed for years, and this year I was able to prove that that's the case with my own mink. The mother would start attacking the babies within just weeks of each other. They all simultaneously start attacking their babies and driving them away. But of course they're in an enclosure, they can't run away, so we had to separate the mothers from the babies. All right about the middle of August, which in nature is the same time they drive their babies away. So the interesting thing is that we need to learn now about wild mink is these babies have gotten along. This is well past September, we're almost November now, and the babies are still getting along great. These pet people who've kept mink together have kept them together for years as siblings without problems. So the question is, what happens in nature? I'm going to give you my own theory. It's totally based on theory. There's no real knowledge on this at this point. I've kind of background knowledge that we do have. The naturalists claim the mink separate when they leave their mother, which I'm sure happens at least some of the time. I have many just casual observers who've noticed mink traveling in pairs or small groups in fall, which is after they've left their mothers. So, and based off of the natural kind of social activity among my own mink and other people's mink, it seems to me that it would be reasonable that the babies stay together throughout the fall. Now, in the experience I've learned with my mink, in the fall, the baby mink are still pretty timid. They're not very gung-ho normally when I raise them singly. They're pretty nervous about taking on new prey or anything that confronts them. They're still pretty nervous. Even though this is a time when they should be hunting on their own, they're still pretty timid hunters. So I just previously, my theory was, well, it's because hunting's easy in the fall. There's lots of animals to hunt. The mink doesn't need to take on a muskrat or a squirrel or something big and aggressive. They can go after mice and minnows and crayfish and frogs even. They don't need to hunt aggressive prey until it gets harsh in the winter time. When it's cold and frozen, then the need to take on things like muskrats and squirrels and large rats and aggressive prey would more likely come into play. So I just always assumed the babies in the fall just were picky. They eat easy to kill things. Well, now that I've seen baby mink together as groups and the extra boost in confidence they get much earlier on, I'm wondering if maybe it's pretty common, not just these rare occasions that I've heard people tell me about where they've seen wild mink, living together in groups in the fall. Maybe it's pretty common that the siblings break off in pairs or triplets, or even stay together as a full litter, who knows, and hunt together for at least a couple months after they leave their mom, building their confidence and experience in hunting these more aggressive prey like muskrats. And then, when the hard reality of winter sets in and they realize, man, living together is no longer an advantage, food is scarce, they probably start bickering and fighting amongst themselves at that point because they're starting to get hungry, and then split and go their own separate ways. So that's a theory. Nothing I can base that on other than just theory. So I'm not trying to say that's what happens. I'm wondering if that's what happens in nature. Makes a lot of sense. So now it would be super interesting is to take this kind of theory and test it. Go out and actually observe the natural breaking up of a mink litter. Does it happen immediately after they leave their mother? Is it 2 months later, 2 weeks later? What happens? So that'd be really interesting. I'd love to do a little experiment and do some research on that. Maybe I can team up with a wildlife biologist, or maybe just do the experiments myself. We'll have to see. Super interesting stuff. Man, I've been blown away with how much I've learned this year. That's the thing about mink. You get to where you feel like, oh man, I've learned so much. And then, you look at where you were the year before. Oh man, I've learned so much. And it happens every year. How does it every year I keep learning so much? I don't know. It's amazing. These little animals are so interesting. And all the different things we can learn about them and the details, I'm just thoroughly intrigued with them, as you can tell. So we'll keep showing you more, keep sharing with you what we've learned. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know this was a little bit long and had a lot of explanation, so I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you think, negative or positive, because I want to make sure I can shape what I'm producing for you guys so that you're watching what you want to watch, something that's interesting. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Now, if you're really wanting to dive into mink and learn the nitty-gritty details, I would strongly recommend you read my book, The New Sport of Minkenry. It has 242 pages of valuable information for anyone who's considering getting a mink themselves or really just want to learn about this incredible little animal.